Hello everybody, welcome into another video. Today we are going to be going through my 2022 NHL Stanley Cup Playoff predictions. So the playoff matchups were set just this Friday while I was in Arizona. So I filmed this video in my hotel and I did most of it on my laptop, so it's kind of a pain to edit. Hopefully it's still pretty good for you guys. Some of my takes weren't quite fully formed out, and it seems biased, my choice in the end, but I promise you it's logically thought out. And I hope you guys enjoy. I am also doing a bracket challenge. It's short notice, but if you guys want to join it, get your brackets in there before the first game starts. I think it's Boston, Carolina, at 7 p.m. Eastern. Do so because it is free to enter, and if you win, you will get a prize. So make sure you guys join that. I will leave the link in the description down below for you guys. Make sure you guys join that. And let's get on with the video. Hopefully you guys like my pick. All right, so let's run through the matchups really quick. So we got Colorado and Nashville, Minnesota and St. Louis, Calgary and Dallas, Edmonton and LA, Florida and Washington, Toronto and Tampa Bay, Carolina and Boston, and then New York and Pittsburgh. So we got a lot of good matchups here. We're gonna start with the West, work our way over to the East, and there we go. So first off, we got my Colorado Avalanche against the Nashville Predators. Fresh off choking a 4-0 lead to one of the worst teams in hockey this year. That's kind of embarrassing for them. This kind of ended up how I wanted it to, because if we were going to play the Predators, I wanted it to be like this. I wanted them to beat us, and then I wanted to end up playing them so they could come in all cocky. They could be like, oh yeah, we won the season series against you guys. I don't think that there are many people like that, but just in case. I think the Avs are going to win, especially since the Predators won't have UC Saros pretty much the entire series. I don't know what happened to David Riddick yesterday. I don't know if they pulled him after 4 to make sure he didn't get injured and then ended up choking that lead away. He's been playing pretty well lately, so I think there's a chance they could steal a game with him. I don't think it'll be a runaway by any means. Nashville is still a pretty good team. They got Roman Josi, Matt Duchene, and Philip Forsberg having elite seasons. Ryan Johansson is having a resurgent season. They're still a pretty good team, but I just think the Avs are better, especially considering they're getting all healthy again. I'm going with Colorado, and we're going in 5 games. Maybe we're not going in any games. All right, well, it won't let me put in the number of games, but I'm going to put it down as a 5-game series. Hopefully they can win their first series with me in attendance. I would appreciate that. So then we got Minnesota and St. Louis. So this is going to be a really good matchup. The only thing is, and this is a stat that's been going around a lot, Minnesota has 1 regulation win against St. Louis in their past 14 games. That is not good for Minnesota. And Minnesota is having a very fluky season. I feel like Ryan Hartman, probably not a 30-goal scorer in his career. In fact, I know he's not. They've had a bunch of career years from dudes. And I think while they're a good team, I just don't think they're that good. St. Louis is, a cup-tested team. They're going to be mad after getting eliminated in the first round 2 years in a row, not even taking either one to a Game 7. I do think St. Louis will probably win this series, but like everybody, I think it will go 7. Maybe Minnesota can keep that, overperforming going a little bit longer, but I kind of doubt it. We'll see, though. I'm still going to go with St. Louis, though, and we're still not going to be able to put in how many games. Calgary and Dallas. So I originally wanted to play Dallas, the Avs to play Dallas for revenge, but that's clearly not going to happen. So Calgary is going to get their chance for revenge on Dallas for the bubble, because they played in the first round in the bubble, and Dallas won in 5 or 6 games, I think. I don't remember. I know Matthew Tkachuk was injured and everything. So Calgary, I think they're having a little bit of a fluky season this year. They've had so much injury luck. Dudes have been really performing well, but they haven't been super overperforming. It's really just been the injuries. Maybe Johnny Gaudreau can actually perform in the playoffs for once. I still think they're going to make it past Dallas. I just don't think Dallas is a good enough team. They're too old. The only real star power they have is Jason Robertson, and Miro Heiskanen, and maybe Dennis Gurianov and Roope Hintz, if you want to include those dudes. But I just don't think they can really compete with Calgary, especially considering how dominant Calgary's top line has been this year. So I think I got to go with Calgary in this series. Edmonton and LA. I see a lot of people picking Edmonton to run away with it. I think it's going to be close. I do think it's going to go towards Edmonton, though. LA doesn't have the star power Their goaltending is a little bit questionable. Jonathan Quick will always show up in the postseason, though. Jonathan Quick is a great postseason performer. Even when they got swept against Vegas a couple years ago, it was like a goaltending duel every night. I do think it'll go like 6, maybe even 7 games. I wouldn't be surprised if Edmonton won in 5. I wouldn't be surprised if LA won this series. I think people are vastly underestimating them. They got a lot of dudes with playoff experience too. They got Victor Arvidsson, Philip Deneau, Ante Kopitar's obviously won a cup with the team. Dustin Brown's going to be retiring, so that's a little extra reason for them to fight. I do think Edmonton's going to win. I just think they're the better team. Their underlines have been better this year than they have in years past. Mike Smith has been really hitting a hot streak to end this season. Hopefully he can carry it through. And plus, we all want to see that Battle of Alberta in the second round. Come on now. So obviously, Edmonton. All right, so now we get to pick the games. So like I said, we're going to do Avs in 5, St. Louis in 7. Flames, I think Dallas might be able to steal 6, especially with Ottinger in net. He's had a pretty good season thus far. And like I said, Calgary is far from a flawless postseason team. And then I think it's going to be Edmonton in 6. We're going to head out east. So we're going to go Florida and Washington. Now, Washington just doesn't, they're so old. Their goaltending is so questionable. Florida's been really good this year. I think they're overrated because they take so many games to overtime and win there. And 3-3 overtime isn't a thing in the playoffs, but they're still a really good team. I'm not going to say they're not a really good team. So I do think they're pretty easily going to get past Washington, especially Washington has had some struggles getting out of the first round since they won their cup. We got Toronto and Tampa Bay. So this is going to be what I think will probably be the best series in the playoffs in the first round. These are two really high-powered teams. One struggling who's trying to get over the hump of the first round. One trying to be the first back-to-back Stanley Cup champions in decades. I think Tampa Bay has lost a step compared to their cup winning years, but it's hard to pick against them because, they just won a cup and they're playing a team who is really hungry to get out of the first round, but in the end still hasn't. There's so much playoff experience on this Tampa Bay team. And you can't really, there's no, big faults you can point out on them. Part of me thinks this was Toronto's year to get out of the first round. But the only problem is their goaltending has just been so shaky. Jack Campbell looked like, hey, he was going to be the guy to finally get him out. They were actually going to have some decent goaltending, and then he fell off a cliff. I think I got to go Tampa Bay. You come fresh off winning a cup. I feel like a team like Tampa Bay at least has got to win one round here. And then we get another great Battle of Florida. So I've been thinking about this a little bit, my first round pick of Minnesota and St. Louis. I'm kind of rethinking it. I'm remembering that Ville Husso has had 0 playoff experience first. And I don't know, there's something about St. Louis. I don't know, I do feel like Minnesota is also going to be hungry this year, especially after losing last year. I think I'm going to switch my pick to Minnesota. Still in 7, but I think I'm going to switch it to Minnesota. I do think they have better offensive talent. I do think it'll be hard. You can tell, this series is going to be a coin flip to me. They're both pretty good teams. I'll give it to Minnesota. I think they'll stay hot, and they'll at least get to the second round here. Going back east, so we got Carolina and Boston. So a little rematch here it was the 2019 conference finals, and then the 2020 first round, I think, was when they played last. Boston took both of them. So Carolina is going to be a bit mad at Boston. Carolina, I also think, is far and away the better team. They just have way more talent and depth, especially their defense. Their defense is just so good. Slavin, Pesci, Cole, D'Angelo pitches in on offense there, even though he can't play defense, but that's okay. They've got a lot of offensive talent too. Dude, you any slightly casual hockey fan, you show that offensive core to, and they know all those names. It's insanity. You got Sebastian Aho, Teuvo Teravainen, Andrei Svechnikov, Vincent Trocheck, Niederreiter, Brady Shea, Max Domi, etc. Dude, it's crazy. They're I feel like they've been super underrated this year because they kind of went cold for a little bit. I think they're going to make a pass. I do think it's going to be a close series, though. Boston has been a pretty good team this year. They almost took this Atlantic 3 spot away from Tampa Bay, but they didn't quite. So that's why they're playing Carolina, and that's why I think they're going to lose to Carolina. So That doesn't really make sense, but you get it. Then we got New York and Pittsburgh. So this is a good battle. All right, so New York and Pittsburgh, this is a battle that I've actually watched like 4 times. Every time they played this season, I found myself watching the game just because it was what was on. And they were usually pretty good. Pittsburgh has also kind of had a problem getting out of the first round for a while now. And New York hasn't done anything in the playoffs since they've made it to the Cup Finals, honestly. Will Shesterkin carry them past the first round? Granted, they don't really need Shesterkin to carry them anymore. Ever since they got Andrew Kopp, they've been actually kind of running. They've been doing really well. So, honestly, they've been really they've stepped up their game quite a bit, the Rangers have. And Pittsburgh has kind of fallen off. So I do think the Rangers will get them through. They've just been a lot better. They have a better higher end. Their defensive core, it's kind of a wash, but Igor Shesterkin versus Casey DeSmith. I'm taking Igor. Oh my God, I can't talk. I'm taking Igor Shesterkin every day of the week. We'll go Rangers. Now we'll do the games. All right, so Panthers and Caps. I think it'll be Panthers in 5. Like maybe a big offensive surge while they're at home or something from the Caps can get them a game, but Florida's just too good. So then we got Toronto and Tampa Bay. I'm going to go Tampa Bay in Game 7 because that's how it works. If Toronto's getting out in the first round, they're getting out in as many games possible. Make it hurt as much as possible. Carolina and Boston. Carolina, I think Carolina will also take 7. Boston, like I said, this is another one that's kind of a coin flip, but not really. It really just depends on Carolina's goaltending. So even with Antti Raanta in net, I do think Carolina takes the edge over the Boston Bruins. They're still really good teams. I think this is going to be a sneakily underrated series, so I would definitely check. Honestly, all these series out east outside of the Florida one are pretty good, so I would recommend watching them if you get the time. Rangers and Penguins. Rangers, I think, will take it at 6. I think this will be a closer series. Crosby, Malkin, Letang. This could be their last kick at the can together. Now we're going to move on to the second round. So, Avs, Wild. A big rivalry in the NHL. Kind of an underrated one, not going to lie. Can the Avs finally make it past the second round? Who knows? Can the Wild, low-key, finally make it past the second round? Because when was the last time they did? So, this is kind of a battle to see who can finally get to the conference finals. And like I said, look, am I a little bit biased? Probably. But, there's a reason they're the first team in the Western Conference and have had that spot locked up for a while. It's because they're a really good team. And they haven't even been healthy this entire year. They had not a single player play all 82 games for them, which, you could see is a different problem, and that's completely fair, honestly. But I do think Colorado takes this series. I think Marc-Andre Fleury, they do want to get revenge against him specifically since Vegas missed. They gotta take their anger out from last year on somebody. There's a different energy with the team this year. They have a lot of good depth pieces. Their defense, really underrated. Josh Manson is a great pickup. We'll finally get to see Eric Johnson healthy in the playoffs for the first time in how many years. Owen Byram will finally get to play in the playoffs. I think the Avs will take this one from Minnesota. If Minnesota's depth, kind of regresses to their normal, the Avs they don't blow them out there, but they're kind of a head above there. Their defenses, they've got a much higher top end on Colorado's defense. The depth kind of washes out. Minnesota's got a pretty good defense. And then goaltending, it's going to be interesting. Marc-Andre Fleury, like I said, he is a wildly overrated playoff performer, but he's still, won cups. He's not a terrible playoff goalie. He's just not as good as everybody says. So this will be a good series. This will definitely go 7, I think. So now we got the big battle of Alberta. This one's interesting. So these are 2 teams that have historically underachieved in the playoffs. Both teams have struggled to make the playoffs, and when they have, they've underperformed. So, but it'll be a good series. It'll be cool to see these 2 teams finally face off in the postseason. I think Calgary will take this. They've got better goaltending, better defense, better forwards. Like, the way their top line has been performing this year, they could easily match up with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl and go punch for punch. So I think Calgary's got to win this series. They have pretty much Edmonton matched up in their strongest point, and then everywhere else they beat them. Like, I feel like it's I know it's basic because I picked the division winners for each one, but I don't know, there's something about the West this year it's kind of feels like how it's meant to be. Calgary, I do think will make it to the conference finals through the Battle of Alberta. I do think it'll be a close series though. And then we got Florida and Tampa Bay, the Battle of Florida. A little rematch from last year. Now, I said it before, I'll say it again. I don't think Florida is as good as people say. I think they're really good, but I think they're like more of like the fourth or third best team in the league, not the first. This one will be interesting for sure. These are two really good teams, and I think they're closer than their seeding indicates. The only problem is Andrei Vasilevsky has not been nearly as good of a performer this year as he has in years past. This series is the epitome of a coin toss, like literally. I kind of want to pick Tampa Bay just because of Florida's like postseason performance. I don't know, but we'll stick with Florida for now. We got Carolina and New York. So this is also going to be a really good series. What this series comes down to, in my opinion, is whether or not Freddie Anderson will be healthy. If it is like a Vezina goaltender matchup. I think and you'll see this in my awards predictions, but I think Igor Shesterkin is number 1, obviously, and then Freddie Anderson is number 2. So this will be a good matchup for goaltending. These two teams are pretty similar. Carolina has a pretty decent advantage on New York in depth, but considering the Andrew Kopp deal and their improvements to their play, it's probably a little bit closer than I'm leaning on. Carolina really beats New York in defense, though. New York's really only solid defender and consistent defender is Adam Fox, and he's kind of taking a step back this year too. I think Carolina's going to take this. So I know I picked every single divisional winner to move on, but I easily could have picked Tampa Bay over Florida. Part of me wants to. Part of me has a sneaking, this little whisper in the back of my mind that says pick Tampa Bay over Florida. And I'm really starting to think about doing it. So this is the thing that will be the question. Will Vasilevsky return to his postseason form from years past? I think so. I think I might need to lean towards Tampa Bay here. Just Sergei Bobrovsky has been so inconsistent this year. I think Tampa Bay really wants to push for this back-to-back cup. And I think they have the means to, and I think they're going to take it from Florida. I think Tampa Bay takes this one. This might be their final hurrah over Florida. So I think they'll take this one from Florida. I'm changing my mind, changing the picks again. I didn't plan this out before. This is all kind of on the fly here. I forgot that it won't tell me to pick games now. So for Colorado and Minnesota, I'm going 7 games in favor of Colorado. Calgary, Edmonton, 6 games in favor of Calgary. I do feel like Edmonton doesn't really have the ability to there will be a point where Calgary kind of breaks free and gets that extra win. And then we got Tampa Bay and Florida. I do think that one is going to go 7 as well. Another really good series. Like I said, I could barely even pick who was going to win. That one and the Minnesota St. Louis one. Look, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. All right. Those ones are complete coin flips to me. Carolina, New York. I think Carolina takes that one probably in 6. So now we got to see who will move on to the Cup Finals. We got Colorado and Calgary rematch from 2019 first round, and Tampa Bay and Carolina rematch from the second round from last year. Fun fact: I have been to both of those series. I actually went to a game with, so that's kind of cool. So who do I think it'll be? Look, call me a homer, whatever. That's fine. I think Colorado is a better team than Calgary, and I feel like that shouldn't be a very controversial statement. Calgary has had a really good year from Johnny Gaudreau and all that, but when the Avs played them without half their team, they beat them both times. And Calgary beat the Avs once in overtime, and now regular season hockey is completely different. And maybe Calgary's still mad from that first round series that I mentioned, when the Avs upset them in 5 games. But I just think Colorado's the better team this year. I think they've got better offense, better defense. The goaltending is, again, kind of a wash. There's still Kemper and Mark Shermer are 2 really high Vezina caliber goaltenders. But Colorado, defensively, they have a lot better two-way ability on their defense. This all depends on Johnny Gaudreau. Every time the Avs have played Calgary this year, Johnny Gaudreau has been a ghost outside of that one overtime play where he won them the game, which, that's that's what happens. You make one good play, and then you kind of resolves you not showing up the rest of the game. I think Colorado wins this one. I do think it'll be a close series. I think it'll be 7. It's just Colorado is such a good team this year, and especially considering this like kind of weaker West schedule they have to go through, I think it'll be easier for them to kind of, you know, stay healthy, stay fresh, and get to the Stanley Cup Finals. Tampa Bay and Carolina. Who do I think will win? I think Tampa Bay's reign comes to an end here. I think Carolina takes this series. This is, you know, they'll have Freddie Anderson back. They'll be mad from last year where they kind of crapped the bed, played awful against Tampa Bay in that series. They'll want to be the ones to finally dethrone the champions, and I think they'll do it. They're not going to be $20 million over the cap. It's just they're not going to have as easy of a time this year. So I think it'll be Carolina and Colorado this year in the Stanley Cup Final. Who will win? Objectively, Colorado is a top 3 team in the NHL this year, and objectively, Carolina is too. I don't know who I should be picking here. Now, this is, I want it to be known, this is completely bias removed. Ignore the sweatshirt I'm wearing. I think Colorado is the better team. When these two have matched up, it's been great, and it's been really close. Outside of that one game where the Avs won 7-4, and Freddie Anderson decided he wasn't going to play goalie that night. Every time these two teams have played, it's been really close for the past however many years. I do think Colorado's a better team. They're a hungry team this year. They're tired of being treated as you know, second round exits. Now, granted, if they make it to the Cup Conference Finals or the Cup Final, I think, you know, it'll be a huge step for them. But same thing with Carolina. This is something that I've noticed people don't talk about enough. Carolina has really been disappointing in the playoffs ever since they made that run to the Eastern Conference Final. They got demolished in the first round by Boston in the bubble, and they got walked in the second round by Tampa Bay last year. So this is going to be a tough Stanley Cup Final to predict. I just feel like Colorado is the better team here. They've got a lot of dudes fighting for their last chance at a Cup Final. Guys like Jack Johnson, Andrew Cogliano, maybe even Eric Johnson, Darren Helm. They've got a lot of those guys. Freddie Anderson has been great this year, but he's been great in years past, and he just doesn't show up in the playoffs sometimes. So who knows? I think it's a complete. It's another one where it's like, it's a kind of a coin flip. These are two really elite teams. So I think these are two really good teams, but I do think Colorado will take the edge, and when it comes down to it, we'll call it 6 goals per game. And I think it's obviously going to go the distance, going to go 42, but then obviously there's probably some outlier games. I'm going to put it at 41. There you go. 41 games. There we go. Congrats, my picks are in. Stanley Cup champions, Colorado Avalanche. Hopefully. Look, like I said, I'll be happy if they make it past the second round this year, all right? Try not to be biased here. I know it feels like I'm being biased, but like, they're a good team. They've got like the best top line in hockey. They've got a really good defensive core. They haven't been healthy this entire season, and they almost won the President's Trophy. I feel like this is a fair pick. All right, well, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Sorry the audio wasn't great. You know, only using a phone makes it kind of hard sometimes when you don't get an actual mic. But I hope my picks weren't too obscene for you guys. I thought they were okay. I could easily see me getting some backlash for them once all is said and done and the playoffs have concluded. But make sure you guys like if you enjoyed this video, even if you don't agree with my picks. Make sure to subscribe for more Blue Liner content. I'm going to be doing a lot more hockey content. Go check out my other channel, Blue Liner Hockey, where I post hype videos mostly for the Avs. So not making my case for not being biased, but hopefully you guys enjoy those, because I'm going to have a new video coming out on that channel as well, the day of the Avs first game against the Predators. Anyways, make sure you guys join that bracket challenge, and I will see you guys in the next video. Make sure to like, subscribe, really helps me out. Peace out, y'all.